Be honest, have you ever lost a match because you've missed a couple of easy shots? The secret lies in your stroke. Let me show you exactly how to develop your perfect stroke. One of the most important things is aligning your arm and foot along the line you want to shoot the cue ball. Then take a step to the side and go down on the shot so that your cue is on that imaginary line. Once you're ready, just shoot straight along that line. That's the basis, but there are more things to help you developing your perfect stroke. So I'm standing while I'm aiming, and now the whole process starts. You're going down. What I like to do is locking into the shot, seeing if everything's alright. Once I'm feeling comfortable, starting my strokes, seeing if everything is aligned correctly. Once I'm ready, I'm going to pull back really smooth. Maybe you can pause a bit, you don't have to. And then I'm going to push the cue just straight forward and going to follow through. Okay, I'm going to do this without talking now. Your task is to just concentrate on my stroke. Watch how I am locking in, how smooth my swings are, how I'm making my final pass, a very relaxed backswing and a nice follow through the cue ball. Going back to the stroke, here you can see how far I'm pulling my cue back and how much I'm following through the cue ball. And I'm doing this to get the best possible timing. This means I'm accelerating just a tiny bit through the cue ball so that the tip hits the cue ball just a fraction before the cue is traveling at its highest speed. The better your timing is, the more rotation you can get into the cue ball without increasing the speed of the shot. This shot, for example, was executed with perfect timing. If I'm playing it with the same spin and power but with bad timing, you can clearly see how much less rotation the cue ball actually got. But it's not only the key to getting a lot of rotation with little effort. Decelerating before even making contact with the cue ball will very often make you miss the shot. Just imagine a person throwing something and not releasing it when their arm is moving at its highest speed. It just doesn't make any sense. It's an unnatural movement that is most of the time caused by nerves and uncertainty when shooting. Have a look what happens if you're decelerating when shooting. The cue ball has a total different reaction, and because of that we're missing the shot. And now let's get back to our exercise. Very nice angle on a 9-ball. So again, go down, lock in, just trust that everything is aligned correctly, and then just cue straight, follow through nicely. And the most important thing, after you made the shot, subscribe to this channel. Which angle did we get? Well, we didn't get the right angle, but this doesn't matter. We can now work again on our stroke. We want to draw back now, get fairly straight on the 10-ball. And this is a really good example again for a nice and smooth stroke with a lot of quality in cue action and the right timing, of course. So you don't have to hit that hard if you're playing the shot, and if you want to draw back, just watch now how smoothly I can draw the cue ball back without doing this really hard kind of stroke that a lot of people are doing. Now again, just watch my stroke. We need a lot of cue action. We don't want to hit hard because we don't want the cue ball to run into the free ball. So we have to follow nicely through the cue ball, but this is not always the case. If the object ball and the cue ball are very close together like they are here, you definitely want to shorten your bridge length. It would make no sense to be really far away because that way you will lose a lot of control. So whenever the cue ball and the object ball are very close to each other, then you also want to shorten your bridging length. And here in this case, for example, we also don't need a lot of action on the cue ball. We just want to stun over them. So we also, besides the short bridging length, we don't want to pull back all the way, and we don't want to follow through until here. No, we don't need to move the cue ball a lot. We don't need a lot of action or speed on the cue ball. That's why on shots like this, we're using a short bridge length. Just doing tiny pre-strokes or tiny backswings. Then all we do is just follow through a tiny bit. So whenever you don't need a lot of action, keep everything very short and compact. Very nice on the 10-ball. We got a bit of an angle because it's important to be close to straight that we can get on the right side of the free ball again. This time I want you to concentrate on how I'm holding the cue. Hold it not too tight even on your final stroke. Otherwise it can harm your accuracy in terms of hitting the right spot on the cue ball, which can lead to not getting the desired cue ball action and even missing the shot. Even got a bit too much out of the cue ball, but this is just fine as long as we're having the right angle. Again, on the 11 ball, I want to be somewhere here. I don't have to go around the balls. And aiming, going down, locking in. And when you're holding your cue, make sure that your wrist is not bent to the left or to the right. No, it's just a passive part of your body hangs down and you're holding the cue loosely in your hand. Let's judge the speed a bit here. And this is the perfect time to talk about how your stroke can impact your speed control. As you can see here, we definitely need a bit of more action on the cue ball because we want to stun over, maybe use a touch of left spin and bring the cue ball towards here. So in this case, having that short bridge length and those tiny strokes wouldn't be ideal. So in this case, I'm going back a bit further up. I'm doing a bit bigger backswing, and also I'm going to follow through a bit more. Not maximum, we're far away from maximum because we don't want to bring the cue ball all around the table a couple of rails. So here I'm resting my bridge hand on the table. You can see those are my backswings. Now just concentrate on how far I'm actually going back with the cue. It's not that far, something like that. And I'm also not going to follow through maximum amount. And now let's get back to our drill. But it doesn't matter, now we're on the wrong side, now we actually have to go around 2 rails. But keep in mind, the outside spin will make the cue ball gain some speed off the rails. Did we get the right angle? Well, it's okay. We did, this is the straight line. Here would be nice, but this is still okay. Now we can do a bit with the cue ball. And the most important thing before going down, know what kind of spin you want to add, the speed you're going to use and how the stroke should feel. And then regardless of the outcome, just make sure to exactly stroke it the way you've imagined. Cue ball should come 2 rails, center of the table. And then once you've visualized everything, very important, then you prepare. So while I'm doing my pre-strokes in the air, I'm most of the time visualizing everything, just really starting to feel the shot, how the shot should look and feel in your arm, the speed and so on. Okay, I'm preparing. You just watch what I'm doing. And what I'm going to tell you in a second is probably the most basic advice, but at the same time, the most difficult to implement into your game. And when you're down and you just don't have the feeling that everything's right, then stand up, jog again, and restart the whole process. So far we concentrated on the cue, but now concentrate on my body and how much I'm moving while shooting the shot. Did you notice that it just became a bit blurry? This is because I froze the image just before shooting and overlaid the image. As you can see, I didn't move a lot, and this is very important when shooting. Try to stay as still as possible and only move your arm. Okay, center of the table. Again, we didn't end ideal because this is the straight line. In the ideal world, we would be here, where we just can stun 1 rail towards the 5 ball. But again, not everything goes as planned. Now we just have to follow 1 rail. And also a very common question is, should you drop your elbow or not? Well, it depends on the amount of cue action you need. If you want to rewind the whole video and just watch my elbow all the time, there is no right or wrong here. With just a bit of left spin, we could have stayed a bit further away from the rail here. So again, just going to hit the high ball, going 1 rail or maybe 2 rails if I'm adding a touch of right spin, but I don't want to do that. Just going 1 rail towards the 13 ball. And again, don't overpower the shot, just rely on cueing straight and following through nicely. This time, just concentrate on the final backwards and forwards motion just before I pull the trigger. I didn't make a pause, but the transition between backwards and forwards motion was very smooth, and that's very important because I've probably said it 100 times on this channel. All the cue action comes from the forward motion. So make a pause or don't make a pause, as long as it's smooth, it's okay, but you don't want to rush the shots because then your muscles maybe tighten up and you will jump up or choke on the shot. You see, I'm always staying down that long even without my GoPro, because if I'm staying down after the shot and I notice that my cue is pointing this or that way after the shot, I know, okay, I had some technical issues. So that's very important. Stay down and just feel in which position your body is.
and this will very often indicate that something was wrong.
And if you want to learn more about the proper technique, about how to aim in pool, about how to use side spin, how to play position, how to play kick shots, basically every single thing you need to know to become a great player, then I would recommend to subscribe to this channel or just watch this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you at the next lesson. Take care.